Welcome, everyone. My name is Krista Taylor, and I'm an independent associate with VoxxLife. And my dear friend and co-host is Mr. Kevin Duguay, who is an athletic practitioner that added VoxxLife to his practice and now spends most of his time helping people with these products. So we are here along with many of our friends at VoxxLife and all of your guests. You and all of our guests are here tonight to hear what this is all about. Maybe you've never heard about Vox before, and you know that your friend is talking about these socks all the time and you wanted to see what that's all about. And maybe you have tried the products and you want to learn more. You know, that happens to most of us, that you start to get some benefits and you start to want to learn more about how and why this is helping. So what we're going to do tonight is Kevin is going to start us off. He's going to give us a snapshot of what this technology is and how it impacts your body. And then we're going to hear from two different people. Carol is one of them and Tracy's another. They're going to share their stories and just tell us how wearing this technology on a regular basis has impacted them, in the hopes that that will help you or somebody that you care about to take a more of a look at this and try it for yourself. So Kev, please take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Krista. Well, welcome everybody. And for those that are new to VoxxLife, this will be a powerful 5 minutes on an intro because we're dealing with the most important system in the body. And I'm going to give it to you in 5 minutes flat on 6 of our texts. But basic concept, folks, is what we've realized in our journey is that a healthy body needs a healthy brain. And so all of our technologies work on that aspect of helping your brain function better or helping optimize how your brain works. And the beauty of our technology is it works through something called, I'll give you the medical word, but I'll go into English. It's called Neuro Haptic technology. In other words, it's using the power of touch. So it's using your own peripheral. So just think of all the little nerves on the end of your finger and think of these different patterns that help optimize different neurological networks. So I'm going to tell you about the 6 different areas of the brain that our tech optimizes. And then as you listen to the stories and you get back to the person that shared this with you, then you can talk about what would be perhaps the best, I call it a recipe. I was on a call earlier today. What's the best recipe for me, Kev, to help me get my body where it needs to be? So the first one, which is the most important, folks, is something called HPT, or Human Performance Technology. And our 2 most popular products and how we wear it, it's one is in a patch. You can see it right there. You can see this etching that's on, it looks like a fingerprint. Yes, it does. But it's also in a sock. You can see that pattern right there. So think of using this pattern through touch, just like a password on your cell phone. Your cell phone is working, but when you hit the right password, it really opens up. So look at that as what our tech does to that part of the brain. So the brainstem is responsible for balance, power, stability, stamina, speed, endurance, posture, respiratory function, pain management, recovery, to name a few. It's really, really important for how your body functions. So we call it like the gates to the castle of the front door. Next one is CBT. I'm wearing it on my arm. This is the newer version of a sleeve. This is what the pattern looks like on the inside. This is an older version, but the pattern shows up very nicely on the screen. So again, it's a different type of imprint, and it optimizes the cognitive networks of the brain. So this is areas of the brain dealing with memory, focus, calmness, clarity, and anxiety. Okay, it's very popular with a lot of our students. And a lot of those are involved in highly mental functioning areas of life where there's a lot of things going on. You need to be, as we call it, in the zone. Third one, which I love, is dealing with optimizing the physiology of the blood. It's called Neurovax. It's called Neuroplastic Immune Optimization, NIO, as we say. It's a different colored patch, which is nice to remember them, but it's a nice pink patch with a different pattern. It helps optimize your immune system by optimizing how your blood functions. We have an amazing video that shows you what happens to your blood when you wear the patch. That's number 3. Number 4, another one of my favorites, because I love this part of my life, because we spend a third of our lives doing this, which is sleeping. And so we have what's called a REM patch. So it stands for Optimized Sleep Technology. It's a different type of a pattern, but you put this on your upper arm 20 minutes before you go to bed. have a nice dream. So just so you know, it's working on the two critical parts of your sleep, which is REM sleep and NREM sleep, to help optimize sleep, because when you sleep better, that's when you recover, rebuild, and regenerate. That's number 4. Number 5 is the meta patch. So they're called Haptic Advanced Metabolism, or NIM, much larger patch, but optimizes the metabolic networks. And this is involved, for those of you that are passionate about the brain-gut connection, that's what this is involved with. And number 5 is the Boomy Sock, which is EMT, or elevated mind technology. It's dealing with the limbic system and the emotional part of your brain, dealing with joy, happiness, and optimism. Again, it's in a sock. It's a different pattern. So think of it as a different coat. So we have 6 different technologies working on 6 different critical neural networks of the brain. And so as you learn more about each one of them, what's the recipe that's going to work best for you? And I'm pretty sure with the 2 stories coming up, they're going to tell you what the recipe is, because we all want to know what the recipe is. It's put both these 2 ladies on a different path with changing their quality of life. So Krista, back to you.
Thank you so much, dear. So that is a quick snapshot. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. But I asked Kevin to come and do that so that you know what we're talking about. Of course, if you're a person that likes to dig in and wants to dive into the science and learn all about it, all of that information is available to you. And the person who invited you has access to all of it. So just ask them. They're happy to share it with you. But I wanted you to have a snapshot, because the most important thing is to get this on, as Kevin said, find your recipe, get it on your body, and see how it helps you. So today we have Carol joining us, and then we're going to go to Tracy. So Carol, I'm just going to ask you to unmute. You should have a message from me that says unmute.
I did.
There you are. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing, Carol?
Fine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Did you want to turn your video on, or you prefer not to?
I don't. Tell me how, because I'm
I might be able
computer
to.
challenged.
That's okay. There should be a little camera down. Carol, I'm going to send you a message. It's asking you to start your video.
Camera at the top.
There we go.
Start my video.
I think there you
There
are.
I am.
How are you? Great. Good to see
Good.
you. So Carol, tell us.
Good seeing you.
Thank you. How did you find VoxxLife, or what made you decide to try it out?
Well, I was watching some of these vendor shows, you know, these shows online, and I kept seeing them advertised, VoxxLife. I was having some balance problems, and they've been coming on gradually. And in December, I lost my balance, fell, dislocated my shoulder, and broke a bone. Got over that. Then I stumbled and twisted my knee. At that point, I figured I have to do something. And I don't want to go to the doctor, because who wants to go to the doctor anymore? So I saw that somebody offered me a couple of patches. I'd been talking to Heather, and then somebody offered me a couple of patches, and I tried them. And then I didn't have a balance problem. And I don't have a balance problem anymore. So right now, what we're doing is we're alternating between the patches and the socks. I just started wearing the sleeve actually yesterday. So I'm trying that to see if it'll help me sleep. My husband says it helps him sleep at night. So we're trying the different products as time goes on.
Finding your recipe, so important.
Right.
So we should mention to everybody
Right. We've just been in
since when? Sorry, Carol?
I'm sorry, we've only been in since July.
Okay.
So I'm a fairly new person.
Good. Well, welcome.
So that's why we're trying one thing at a time.
Nice. Great idea. Great idea. So how does it feel now to have your balance?
It's great. I don't have to worry about falling anymore. I can go out and work in the yard, or in the house, or it's very nice not to have to worry about that.
I can imagine.
Sorry, I'm
Carol,
trying to get my light right.
when you fell the first time and
Yes,
you
sir.
dislocated your shoulder, and then the second time
Mhm.
when you injured your knee, what started going through your mind emotionally when those two episodes happened? And where are you now compared
Well, I
to
knew
where you
my
were?
balance was off.
Yeah,
Well, I knew my balance was off, but I didn't realize how bad it was until all of a sudden the accidents started happening.
yeah,
And I'm like, I've got to do something because at some point I'm going to hurt myself really badly.
yeah,
And I don't want to be a cripple the rest of my life, or,
Yeah,
so I was looking for alternatives.
great.
amazing. And tell us, what are you doing now that you weren't doing then because you were afraid of falling? Are there things that you do now?
Well, I can go out in the yard now. I
The
take the
yard's
dog
great.
for a walk.
Mm,
We are still doing some vendor shows, so I'm not afraid to get up and walk around, where before I would stick more to the table and not move around very much unless it was necessary. Just normal life. We go to the grocery store, we go on outings, you know,
things we take for granted until we lose them, right?
until we lose them, right? Absolutely. Like when the arm didn't work for those 6 months, things that you took for granted that, now I have a problem tying my shoe. Now I have a problem getting my sock on because it was immobilized.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
No. Have any of those things improved for you since you've been wearing the Vox?
Yes, they are. I'm very much improved. There is still, I do have some damage in the shoulder, which will not be able to be fixed unless they operate, but I am able to function every day doing all my normal activities.
I love that you said
So
that.
I'm back to, let's say, 90%,
Great.
Excellent. Excellent.
which
That's
is great.
that's the thing, right? I mean, we're not suggesting that it's definitely not something to treat or diagnose or cure or anything. That's not what it is. It's a tool to help your body work at your optimum. And clearly, Carol, with wearing it consistently, that's coming true for you. How, Carol, did you start with socks or patches, or how did you start out? You said you were kind of trying the technologies one at
I
a time.
started with patches because somebody gave me a couple, and then I bought socks.
Okay. So how many pairs of socks did you buy?
And then right now I've got 3 or 4 pairs, and my husband has 4 or 5. And so I've got a little drying rack in the bathroom so that I can just hang them over that so that they air dry. And we just keep them washed or use the patches.
Excellent. Excellent.
Stuff.
Now, Carol, you got started in July, you said, so during the craziness of the last little while. If somebody's listening to this, what advice do you have for them? Maybe let's talk about two different things. Like, one, if it's a person that's just never even tried it yet, that's wondering, maybe they're facing something like you were, that's thinking, I need to do something, but I don't know if this is the thing. What advice would you have for them?
My advice would be to start with the patches. Let's see if they work for you. Because I have customers who are coming back to me all the time with testimonials of how this has changed their quality of life. Start with the patches. If they work for you, let's look at the other products. Or if it's a sleeping problem, let's talk about it. If it's a cognitive problem, anxiety, because I hear a lot of that too, or stress, that's a different product. Let's see what you need and go from there. Because it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So as long as it works for you, that's important.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Definitely is. Now, what about somebody that's looking at this and they're like, okay, I tried this patches, say, or the socks, whatever they've been trying, whatever their recipe is. And they're thinking, I want to help people with this, or I want to get a discount. what advice would you have to them? But they're thinking like, I don't know, I've never done a business myself. I've never done anything like that. What would you say to them?
Because I just signed up somebody last week, and my advice to her was, tell them your story, tell them how it affected your life, so that they know that it can have a profound change in your quality of life, and then start talking about the business. Now, she says, well, should I give away socks? I'm like, I would start with the patches, because the patches are obviously much cheaper than the socks, and there's a quantity of them. Start with something small, because you don't want to give away the bank. Start small and talk it up to your friends and family, hand them out brochures, tell them your stories, or anyone else that has a story. Make sure they understand what they're getting into, and make sure they document all of their expenses for the IRS. I used to be in business, so I know all about the IRS.
It's good advice. It's very good advice. That's awesome, Carol. Thanks for coming to share your story.
Because that's something that. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Such
Great.
an important thing, right? Like document your things, that kind of stuff. And a lot of us just figured it out as we go. We're trying to help people. We're trying to get the word out there. And like Carol says, try it out, see how you feel. I mean, I will say it's clinically tested to impact every single person. So that 30-day money back guarantee is really about peace of mind. That's because the inventor, Jay Dollywall, that's his name, he wants people to feel confident wearing the products and not worry about, buying something that's not going to work for me or that kind of thing. It is clinically tested that it will impact every single human. But that 30-day money back guarantee is there. It's a no hassle guarantee, and it's for your peace of mind. So certainly it's a perfect way to have people try it out, Tracy, Carol. So that's great. Thanks very much for sharing.
Krista, I just want to share this with, I don't know if you guys heard this, but one of the key words that she brought in of what she felt is that she's able to function better. And for those of you who don't know what we have, there's a great slide that we put together that shows what most people are going through, and then what an optimized body looks like. And so often we look at the outside, but you can't, when a dislocated shoulder gets reduced, you can't tell that they've dislocated unless they still got their arm in a sling. There's something wrong. But once they've come out of the sling, you don't know if they still have a problem with the shoulder. And in regards to, I couldn't tie my laces, or I couldn't do this, and this, the F word used the right way is the right word in regards to how are you functioning. And this cuts right to the chase, folks. You can hide a lot on the outside, but the inside is very powerful. And when you're able to quantify an effect with changing how people function, just like in Carol's case, it's an amazing day, because all of a sudden now there's light ahead of, now they're moving on a different path. So this was so cool with that famous F word, which is called function.
Function. So important. Amazing. Tracy, my dear, are you there?
I am.
There you are. Hello, how are you?
Ooh, look, no sling.
Look,
Speaking of slings, no sling.
So folks, Tracy and I were on a call together probably about 6 weeks ago now, 5 or 6 weeks ago. And I noticed there she is in the gallery view. Whatever. I see her like this. I'm thinking, what happened to her? What happened to you? Tell us.
Want me to start at the beginning with your first question, or do you want me to jump in the middle?
Well,
can I start with the first question? Though I thought your first question is, why do you decide to try VoxxLife? But I wanted to say one of the reasons I stay with the course is things like Carol. So I've actually not had a chance to meet Carol even on video chat yet, but it's the domino effect, right? She's team, like I've told someone who tells someone who's told someone. And then so Carol, I loved hearing your story today. So thank you. And we'll get more time to chat, but I love the benefit of the benefits. So like, why did I start to try VoxxLife? I was 20 years in the wellness industry, but I found wellness is usually presented like an extreme home makeover, right? And I live with renovations, literally, but most of us do too, right? So I was not in chronic pain, thankfully, but really looking for something that was simple, effective, and affordable. And that's when Vox kind of came in to the thing. But I've said I was really skeptical. And so like, how could it work? Why would you pay good money for socks? And why would I wear socks? So that was a lot of my coming into the business, but my staying in the business has had so much to do with stories like Carol's, so many other people's stories. But when you start to recognize the effect of the effect of just one conversation or one thing that's happened, or what I love that you drew out of Carol was the benefit of the benefits. Like, it is an incredible thing not to be feeling pain somewhere in your body, for example, but the little things like being able to walk your dog again, or being able to garden, or whatever those things are for people. So the coming in was simple, effective, and affordable, but much of the staying in is just really seeing the stories. So yeah.
Amazing.
But you want to hear about my shoulder story?
I do.
Want to hear that piece?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I am so much better. I realized it's 2 months today since I had a triggering effect to kind of an existing condition. I had it was just a triggering effect and sent me into excruciating pain. Like I'm not sure childbirth matches it. It was so intense. And like, people who know my story know that my wow moment with Vox happened 3 years in with the sleeve. Like, this is my wow product, and that's another story. But my journey with HPT itself was trust in the people, trust in the science, trust in the brain mapping, like those, trust in the people that I was testing that were seeing results, but not my own experience in wow kind of ways. Lots of little ways, but not the wow ways. But I've always believed that the HPT was building a foundation. So when I added this and then the other technologies, each technology has had a wow since then, except the HPT, right? So the sleeve had a wow, the REM patch was a wow, the Neurovax, like it just, as it went along. So people who know me know I love stories. I'm not sure I was asking for a story, but I can always find a story in the midst of it. So yeah, 2 months ago today, I had a triggering effect, kind of a pre-existing shoulder-related condition, which is partly the way I carry stress. I've had an incredibly stressful year. I run a small business. I'm the office administrator for a small business, and it has a lot to do with supply and demand and customer relations. So it has been an intense year working at a computer. So there's a lot of contributing factors, but this trigger was on the 22nd. I was taking a couple days to kind of see, will I get better? That was kind of a Wednesday. The Saturday morning, I woke up in excruciating pain, and I was up and I was nauseous. I was sweating. I was like, am I going to pass out? We had been away for a week before that. We'd been away in Alberta, and I'd come straight home to a week of work. And so I was having my shower and then out and all of this, queasiness. And I was hunting for my patches and my Harmony patch, and couldn't find them, of course, because you still have stuff scattered. But I would say I was at about a 12 on a pain scale. And I'm a fairly sensitive person, but I'm also not a high pain person, if those two differences can make sense. I'm high sensory, but I'm not a wimp. I said to my husband so many times, I'm not a wimp. I know you're not a wimp. But it was about 12 on that scale. And so I was scrambling almost desperately, quite honestly, for the patches, couldn't find them. And so I just grabbed a sock because I was home. I've got other socks. I just grabbed a sock and pulled it on. And not a word of a lie, it was so fascinating because I could feel the pain go dink, 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 to drop from like 12 to 8.5 or 9. Like, there are still a lot of reasons that I couldn't, like, because wellness is a lot of things, right? There was trauma, there was injury, there was therapy that was needed, but I could feel, I was so thankful. And the coping within that, within the past 2 months, like, coffee grinds would hurt my thumb. It was a shoulder back impinged nerve that brought like nerve issues all the way down to my thumb. So it would go from like pins and needles to knives kind of feeling. and just super intense. I slept 2 months in a chair. I haven't slept in a bed till the last week, like so many pieces with a wonderful massage therapist. So I was just doing, after that incident, I was never taking the HPT patch off. Like I would leave one on, shower, put a new one on before I took the old one off, right? So I wasn't taking any chances. And then about 6 weeks in or so, I'd had some treatment. I was feeling fairly well, and I was going for another massage therapy treatment. And I just thought, I just took the patch off. I thought I'll just, I'll have a full shower heading in for therapy. And when I said in my little blurb that it was less than 10 minutes in 5 years, that's what this shoulder issue has been, because in less than 2 minutes, I felt the pain drop way back at the beginning. And 6 weeks later, when I finally took the patch off again, thinking I was fairly solid, right? Like in that length of time of a shower, I felt the pain go doop, doop, doop. I could feel it within that time frame. Wow. And the change in my thumb, like I could even feel the nerve reacting. I could just feel the intensity of its reaction. It was the oddest sensation. And people who know me, Lori's known these situations on her therapy machines. I'm pretty aware of those kind of things in my body, but it was so fascinating. And I was so thankful. Like I was so thankful, because I've always had incredible respect for people who deal with chronic pain. Like this journeying with Vox has brought me into so many conversations. And there's so many things that I'm thankful for. Like I said, with the sleeve, with my clarity of thinking, but chronic pain, it was not my experience until these last 2 months. So I'm thankful to say that I am coming through it. I'm keeping my patch on. But I'm so thankful for the pieces, because like it lays that neurological foundation for all the other pieces, all the other therapies. So yeah, and I could make my shakes again, right? Like I couldn't use the blender because the vibration was too much, right? I couldn't touch it. I couldn't, this is maybe odd, but when toweling after a shower, it was only this last week that to touch my skin didn't send shivers up the one arm, just from, even though it wasn't hurting as much, just that reaction. So it was really in a lot of ways encouraging to me, because I think when I think about, well, it's actually my next thing, but when I started as a real skeptic, I had a friend who just kind of bought the tech online, and he was this big burly teddy bear of a man covered in tattoos, okay, and a beard, and about 6 foot something. And my first customer, what would you say to a customer business person, right? Taking from your next question.
Yeah, go for it.
I've been thinking it's what my friend said, because he leaned into me, and I can still feel him leaning into me, and he just, with all of his teddy bear intensity, because he'd scare people. Like he is a teddy bear who would scare people, but he leaned in and he just said, "You tell people not to give up too soon." And I really took that to heart, because, he was having an incredible experience personally. He's like a GM worker on his feet, dealing with chronic pain and things that he dealt with. So yeah, that was that stayed with me from the very beginning. And so when I thought about your customers, like the question for a customer starting a business, but for a customer or for someone starting a business, I would say what Brooke said to me: don't give up too soon. Because whether that's the technology, like I thought it took me 3 years really to have a wow kind of moment. I've said, it's the authenticity, it's the culture of the leadership, it's those kind of things, it's the science and the brain mapping that kept me through that process, but a willingness to believe that there was something bigger than what my worldview gave me, right? And then just staying the course, staying connected. To one of my favorite phrases from Terry is keep your toe in the water. So just staying connected, staying in. And yeah, those are a couple of the big ones. So I got some other ones, but I could tell stories for ages.
I gotta say, Tracy, I'm sorry that you were hurting so much. I'm very sorry that happened, because that's terrible. But I have to say, it's very interesting to me, because I've known you now for some time. It's interesting to me to hear you finally had your wow moment with HPT.
I know. Right?
That took a
I actually
long
believe
time.
that that's okay. I believe
Of
that those
course.
things are okay. You can ask me sometime off screen where some of that, but yeah, I believe, and I am someone, you know, that I'm someone that believes that what life gives you, there's always something you can receive and learn and give from it. And
100%. 100%.
it was really intense. And I don't think my massage therapist made it on here, but she was amazing. So my last treatment on Saturday was a really significant turning point. So the first night I could sleep like this again in 2 months because I wasn't in pain. So it was amazing.
so
Those
good.
little things. And again, like you said, the little things that you miss. So no, I'm very, very thankful for the experience, because again, it's the benefit of the benefits. It's the being able to tuck my hand up into my most comfortable, because I couldn't do, like, it was always on pillows, right? So to be able to tuck it in, it's amazing. The benefit of the benefits.
The things you don't realize
Yeah.
that
It's just
you
online.
love until they're gone, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you're pointing out that like you still were going for therapy and treatment and things like this. It's not like, oh, I shall wear this Vox patch and then that's it. This is the miracle.
Oh, I was on prescription pain meds and muscle
Right.
relaxants in the beginning too, just to cope. And as much as I didn't want to do that, I had to say, my daughter is my administrative assistant in our business, and the pain meds were a little entertaining. I will have to say that we had some rather entertaining moments while her mother was a little loopy on pain meds. So anyway, there's always a perk, right? There's always a perk.
It's always a perk. It's always a perk. And we're,
Always a perk.
You're supposed to use the tools that you need when you need them. So we're not saying like use this instead of something else.
Yeah.
If you're in acute pain, you need to manage that. Like you need to go to the hospital, get treatment, get the medication, whatever it is
100%
that you need.
Yeah.
But this is a tool. This is a tool. And it sounds like a tool that made a pretty big impact on your journey through that.
Well, and I think particularly that was part of the awareness. I mean, I felt that I can feel that technology in my kind of weird woo-woo kind of way, right? But to realize that it was still a 9, like that beginning of it on a scale of 1 to 10, that pain level was still a 9, but it wasn't a 12, right? And so then working in combination, because like there's just so many pieces to the wellness puzzle. So absolutely, like I was still wearing the tech when it was intense, but it wasn't as intense. So yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Krista, when you mentioned about tool. I was on a call just before this with a chiropractor in on the other side of the planet on another call, and we talked exactly the same verbiage of in the medical circle. We have a lot of different specialists that do a specific role, play a specific role in the healthcare system. And sometimes you have to combine different parts to get the right result. And it's just, we said earlier in the call, it's just recipe. So Carol's recipe, Tracy's recipe, what she's been through, she says wellness is a multitude of factors, and it's putting these things together and finding what works for you in regards to moving you forward. That staying at a 12 out of 10, life is not going to be a nice ride, and there are people that we've met, and Tracy's one of them, that I'm in that 12 out of 10 club. And when I take these meds to deal with whatever, it's taking me to a different person that I can't function, but this pain is debilitating. And we learn about how crippling chronic pain can be. And then now getting back to the root of the issue, solving the problem, and then moving forward on a proactive wellness journey is what a lot of us on this call are doing. And those that are being drawn to this technology, because they are looking at their quality of life being at a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 on the pain index and going, I can't stay here anymore. I have to get out of this club. I need to get into a different. And so this is what we've learned. And I think it's a testament to the practitioners on this call of what they bring to the table. And I was sharing with this chiropractor about some of the people we have on our team, that what we keep learning about the brain and healing and therapy, it's not just one thing. It never really is one thing. It's a multitude of factors, and it's finding that recipe for success that moves us on a different path. And then it's like all of us, it's following Tracy's story moving forward, and Carol's story, and your story, and all of our stories, that where are we in 2 years time, and 5 years time, and 10 years time, as we keep moving on a different proactive path versus a reactive path. And that is, I think, going to be a buzzword for us moving forward, is that we're being proactive in our health and wellness by taking more authority or more responsibility for our bodies. We are taking responsibility for that with what we learned. So very exciting to see you get out of the 12 out of 10 club, because I can't imagine what that would be like. So glad you're out of it. That's awesome.
So glad. So
Yep.
glad. And Kev, I just think these stories both kind of tie back, as you just were reiterating, about the combination of treatment and this technology. I mean, even my story I kept going for treatment. I kept going for therapy, physio and massage therapy. But as my condition changed, the therapist was like, well, we don't have to work on that. That's, I don't have to spend so much time on that. So I can start to work on other things. And I mean, keeping in mind that I have been wearing this tech 24/7 for 4 years, like actually 24/7 for 4 years. But I no longer live with chronic pain. I don't live with chronic pain anymore. Like I don't have it anymore. That did not happen. If you're listening to this, and that didn't happen in a month or anything like that. It took a long time, but it's gone. I didn't ever think it could be. But with continued therapy and continued wearing this tech, the combination really just changed my life, So important. Carol, Tracy, thank you so much for coming to share with us today. We would just appreciate it so much. And that your story is going to touch somebody who's going to think of somebody that they can help, and that's how it goes, right? I just wanted to point out that Tracy has been on this show before, and there's the person who invited you can get that recording. She tells her story about her wow moment with the sleeve, and it's definitely worth listening to. So ask the person who invited you here to get that recording for you, and they can send you the YouTube link and you can have a watch there. But this is what happens, right? Our stories keep going and going and going when we continue to wear these products. And we have all said, it's your individual recipe is going to be something that you're going to figure out over time. Talk to the person who invited you, get wearing this, and don't buy yourself a pair of socks and a sleeve. Get yourself enough to wear the HPT, as Kevin went through for you. That's the gateway. Get enough to actually wear that every day. So buy the patches, buy a month's supply, or buy 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is for you, pair of socks, insoles, whatever combination it's going to be, shapewear, knee sleeve, but get enough to actually wear it every day. And then you'll tell us. Hopefully you'll come back and share on this broadcast with us, because we want to hear your story. We want to be able to help more people. Jay Dollywall is on a mission to help 1 billion people, and we all agreed to help him do that. So we want to have your stories to bring out to new people, and just let them see that we're regular people. These are real people, and these are their real results. So please get back to the person who invited you. Get yourself enough to wear these products daily and stick with it. As Tracy's friend said, don't give up too soon. Don't think that something that's come up in your life over the course of 2, 3, 10, 20 years is going to go away in a week. It's probably not. Sometimes people get miracle moments, but that's not a typical result. Typically, people need to wear it over time to feel the results, except for the balance and stability. That comes like that in 7 seconds for every single person. Even the most elite athlete that you can think of, the most elite athletes in the world, when you put this tech on them, even their balance improves by 31%. So please get back to the person who invited you. Try this out. Ask your questions. We expect that you have them. If you want to dig into the science deeper, please just ask the person. They can show you where all that is. If you're a practitioner and you want to learn more about it, we have a whole team of practitioners to support you on that. So we're here for you. We want to help you, and we want you to feel the benefits the way we do. That's why we're all so excited about it. Kevin and I will be back in 2 weeks with more stories. Thanks for being here, everybody. Good night.
Right.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.